Ready?
Thank you very much, Audrey.
You're welcome.
Welcome everybody to today's meeting. Today is February 3rd, 2022, 12 noon our time and 1 a.m. Filipino time. We thank our esteemed President Jacob Ong and his club members who really are great for joining us at such an ungodly time, and we appreciate it very much. Before we go to the introduction, I wish to introduce to you our President Gerard, who will lead us into additional comments and the introduction of our speaker. Gerard.
Thank you, Andreas, and good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to our February 3rd meeting of Rotary Club of New York, Club number 6, the host club of America. And as you know, we have a number of sister clubs around the world. So today's recording will be viewed by those people who, for whatever reason, are not able to make our meeting today. And I was just talking about this earlier. One of the problems we have, as every club has, is that having luncheons makes it difficult for those of our members who are working to take the time off from their job to come to a luncheon meeting. But fortunately, having Andreas record it for us makes it easy for all of those folks to be able to view this. We're very pleased, honored today to have as our guest a brother who is the president of the Rotary Club of CEBU in the Philippines. Jacob Ong became a member of the Rotary Club of CEBU in, I believe it was 2015, and by 2016 was on their board of directors already. So he's an active fellow. He's a member of the Paul Harris Society and a benefactor of the Rotary Foundation. I see that he has a BA in computer engineering, which is impressive to me because to me, that's like reading Chinese upside down backwards in the mirror. I haven't got a clue on how to do anything about computing programming. So I admire people who are into that. He has a printing business in, correct me if I mispronounce this, Jacob, Mandawi City. Is that how you pronounce it?
Mandawi, yeah.
Mandawi, okay, so the E is pronounced. So Mandawi City in Cebu in the Philippines, married with 2 children. So let's cut to the quick. Our pleasure to have you today. Welcome, President Ong. Floor is yours.
Thank you very much, President Gerard. So before I begin, Andreas, are there more people that are coming in? Because you know, the meeting was broadcasted to the district and some of the district officers wanted to join. I don't know if they pushed through, but yeah.
Anybody that is in the waiting room will be constantly let in. So
okay,
it might very well be that there are more coming. Yes.
Thank you very much. So my respects to President Gerard, my fellow Rotarians from the Rotary Club of New York, my fellow Rotarians here attending from Rotary Club of Cebu. Actually, one of them is still in the US now. One of our past presidents is there. And so good morning to everyone. First of all, I would like to thank Tom for reaching out to us and Andreas for inviting our club to speak here in your meeting. We are very much honored to be here. Thank you to all the members of the Rotary Club of New York for your generous donation to our relief missions to help the people affected by Typhoon Odette. Before I start, I would like to play a video first, which shows a little background on the typhoon and one of our relief missions. I'll share the sound.
Salamat, Barangay Captain Joel Salahena. Happy Fiesta. Mga 50 na lang din, 50. Atong pasalamatan ang nagbuhat aning paghatag sa ayuda diri sa Argao. Ang kaning ato ang Filipino-Chinese General Chamber, Philippine-Chinese Charitable Association, Chinese General Hospital, Mandawi Chamber of Commerce, Rotary Club of Manila, Rotary Club of Cebu, Virginia Fruits, panghinaot ning tanan nga ang inyong Pasko, although nabagyohan ta, makagahatag ning gamay nga pahalipay sa inyong Pasko ug bagong tuig, unya manghinaot bi nga magamping sad mong tanan.
Daghang salamat sa ayuda nga gihatag gikan dawat karong adlaw sa
Rotary Club of Cebu,
Rotary Club of Manila, and Merry Christmas, Happy New Year.
Pasalamat kita sa ating
Rotary Club.
Rotary Club.
Merry Christmas,
Happy New Year.
Sir, pwede na tani mo po sa inyong fan, no? Sa inyong FB page.
Oh, okay. So that video showed some of the effects of the typhoon in our area, and one of the missions that we went to, it was taken, I think, around 10 days after the typhoon. Okay, so let me start with the presentation. Okay, so I think before I start, I would like to give a background on our club, who we are. Our club was chartered on November 28, 1932. We are an 89-year-old club, and it is the second oldest club in the Philippines, belonging to District 3860. We have 67 members, and with several coming from Japan, USA, Australia, and Taiwan. We are an all-male club with an average age of 53 years old. I hope that nobody will ask why we are still an all-male club later. And we have produced 5 district governors in our history. We have 7 sister clubs in South Korea, Japan, Malaysia, and Singapore, and 6 brother clubs in the Philippines. We have implemented 11 global grant projects, including 2 Gift of Life VTT missions to our area. And I was actually talking with Rob Reilman of Gift of Life before a few days ago, and he told me that the Rotary Club of New York is a long-time supporter of the Gift of Life. So, being the beneficiary of this wonderful program, I would like to extend the gratitude of our club to you for this support. Because of your help, a total of 135 children already has been, since 2017, have undergone their life-changing surgeries, and they have been given a second lease in life, so they can live a long and normal life where they can run and play and go to school without being burdened with any kind of physical disability. In fact, we had 2 very recent successful surgeries. 2 weeks ago was a boy named Felix Mabitad, who was just 12 days old when he had his surgery. And the other one operated just this morning, February 3, 2-year-old Zia Omiter, who is a very complex case and is still in the recovery room as we speak. We have so much to thank the Rotary Club of New York for. Thank you very much. So to continue, we also have 4 Rotary Foundation endowment funds. We have 4 Arts Club Society members. We have 16 major donors and 30 Paul Harris Society members. And we are a 100% Paul Harris Fellow Club. So as you can see from the profile of our club, we have faith and trust in the Rotary Foundation and how big the impact of our global grant projects has for our community. So this presentation, I will be presenting the timeline of the events that happened here in Cebu and the donations that we received, the summary of the operations and the missions that we conducted and where we did those missions. And on the last part, I'll be showing what we will be doing for the future. Our club usually responds to disasters in other areas in the Philippines very quickly, but not this time. For a week following the typhoon, we were not able to do anything. Being victims of the typhoon ourselves, we had to find ways to buy food and water for our families and employees. And without electricity, our work and businesses completely stopped. We had to repair our leaking roofs and gates to our homes that were literally blown off its hinges, these steel gates that we have. So as you saw in the video, mobility was also very difficult because the lines for gasoline and drinking water were really, really long. People would line up starting at midnight and wait for the gasoline stations to open at 8 a.m. So it was that hard. It would take hours just to get gasoline or water. So, but there was no shortage of gasoline. The cause of the lines was because of the lack of the electricity for the gas station pumps to work. And most of these stations were also totally damaged and could not operate. It is the same thing for water refilling stations in our area and our water utility company, where they could not even access the water pumps that provided water for the whole city. So it took us a week before we could really meet and talk about helping the people. But during this period, the 1 week after the typhoon, we were already receiving calls from our sister clubs and our district leaders asking us how they can help. And we were even receiving funds during that time being transferred to our account. So on December 16, the typhoon made landfall in Cebu. This is the timeline. It has been 6 weeks since the typhoon. Our first week was our busiest week. We had to move fast because the people needed the help as soon as possible. Okay. So this was our first coordination meeting on December 23 with our club members. The day after, we were already able to deploy 4 water tanks to strategic areas in the city. This is to provide water for the community. And this project was made possible by a donation from our sister club, the Rotary Club of Makati. On the same day, we got the shipment from our mother club, the Rotary Club of Manila, which is the oldest club in the Philippines. We received over 2,000 mats, blankets, slippers, and 200 boxes of drinking water, and they were shipped via the Philippine Navy. Still on December 24, our district leaders were already moving. They were in another city or another province, another island in the Philippines, and they were already preparing 2,000 containers of potable water for shipment to Cebu, because water was the really main problem here during that time. Still on the same day, December 24, before Christmas, one of our members was already organizing the packing of relief goods. And this consisted of canned goods, rice, and 20 liters of drinking water. They were being prepared for our relief mission in Argao and Dalaget. And they were donated by a food manufacturing company here in Cebu, Virginia Food, and some business organizations in Manila. So on the weekend of week 1, we went to Argao and Dalaget, and this was the day after Christmas. We distributed the relief goods to the municipalities of Argao and Dalaget, and this is approximately 70 kilometers south of Cebu City. So that was our week 1. Week 2, we had two operations. First, we supported the operation of shelter box here in Cebu. They brought around 4,000 shelter kits to be distributed to the people who were with totally damaged homes. And this was the first operation, and we supported them with the logistics expenses and manpower and the distribution of more than 600 shelter kits to the municipality of Sibunga. This is still south of Cebu. Shelter Box has their main office of the Philippines here in Cebu, and they have a warehouse, but they don't have the trucks to transport these shelter kits. So this is where we come in. This is where Rotary comes in to support their operations. The day after New Year, January 2, we went to Alegria and Malabuyok, and we brought 2,000 relief packs, and these were donated by Virginia Food. We always bring around 2,000 relief packs so that the trip will, we would be able to reach more people every time we went on a mission. And accompanying us would be two big, we call wing vans here in Cebu that can carry 1,800 boxes of drinking water. So per our experience, whenever we go on a mission, the people would be more after the water. Then we had grocery packs and everything and rice, but they would be more grateful if they got the water. So we always prioritize the water. On week 3, we had 3 operations. The day after Alegria and Malabuyok, we went to Mactan Island, which is just almost adjacent to Cebu Island. And we delivered 150 containers of drinking water to a non-profit organization called Cebu Wish. And Cebu Wish will be the one to distribute distribute the water to the community surrounding their area. So we delivered this the day after Alegria. Then on that weekend, during the week, we packed relief goods again for another mission for the weekend because we did the missions every Saturday and Sunday. So we packed the relief goods and we went to an island called Kaubian Island. This is off the coast of Olango Island or Mactan Island. And it is a 2-hour boat ride from the mainland. And we distributed 620 relief packs there, including water. Because of this is harder to access, or logistics is a bit harder just to transport the relief goods. We brought a bigger pack, good for, let's say, 5 days consumption. So as you can see from the picture, the relief packs are bigger and the sacks of rice are bigger. The day after that, Kaubian Island, we bought a generator and we gave it, we talked with the water refilling station in Argao. So they could use the generator to power up we still didn't have any electricity by that time, January 8th. So they used the generator to power up their water refilling station, and they would give the water for free to the residents of Argao. So that's what the generator actually is still running now, almost 40 plus days after the typhoon, and some areas still don't have electricity, so it's still going on now. On week 4, we had three operations, 3 missions. First one, even though Shelter Box brought 4,000 shelter kits to Cebu, it was still not enough with all the damaged homes that happened, in Cebu. The 4,000 that they brought were still not enough, so we decided that we could compose, or we could produce our own shelter kits, but this time using 10 sheets of corrugated GI sheets. We included a hammer, a tin snip, umbrella nails, and a handsaw. And we bought this 550 of the rotary shelter kits, and we brought this to Argao. So we partnered with Shelter Box with this. So because they have this assessment, their operations, their system is very organized, and they do the assessment first of who are the people that have totally damaged homes or partially damaged, and they get the names and everything, and they organize the distribution before we go there. So this is in partnership also with Shelter Box and an organization here called Cebu Contractors Association. On the same day, a different group went to Mukabok Island. This is also around 2 to 3 hours boat ride from Cebu, and we distributed 260 relief packs there. Also good for a week's consumption. Mukabok Island is there's a very small window to go to Mukabok Island, and you have to look at the weather and the waves and everything. So the boat that transported the relief goods was a bigger boat, and it was able to reach the island, but the Rotarians that went with them was not able to reach. They had to turn back because it became apparent that they could not reach the island safely because they were riding a smaller boat. So they had to turn back. So only the relief goods got to the island safely. So we just received pictures from them during the distribution. The day after that, on the Sunday, January 16, we went again to Dumanhog and Ronda, and we brought the same number of relief packs for good for 2,000 families of food and water. And this was also where I exhibited symptoms of COVID. No, when we were still in the first municipality of Dumanhog, I felt a slight headache, and when we got there, I was feeling that it got really worse, and I to the point that I couldn't stand up properly anymore. So I went home, but the rest of the Rotarians, they continued the mission, and they went to Ronda after Dumanhog to finish the distribution of the relief packs. On week 5, the second to the last week, we only had one relief operation. I was still in isolation at this time, but this was organized by our own Rotaract, which is the Rotaract Club of Cebu, and they provided 412 residents with relief packs. These are our young Rotarians, future Rotarians, no? And they organized this themselves. They raised the funds themselves. We just added a little bit to complete their relief packs, and they did it. As you can see from the picture, those are the young people that we have in our Rotaract Club. On the last week, which has happened last week, we continued with our rebuild mission, and we provided 323 Rotary shelter kits. This is the same shelter kits that we did in Argao, 10 GI sheets with some tools and nails, just enough to let them repair their roofs. This was, I think, 40 days after the typhoon already, and still the people are still living in their chapels or the public schools or living with relatives because they didn't have any roofs yet. So we distributed them to 7 barangays in the municipality of Dalaget, still in south of Cebu. And this was funded by our district. I mean, a different district in the Philippines, District 3810, and it was from a disaster response grant facilitated by the district governor of 3810, Robert Coa, and our district governor, Ana Bumagat, and our Disaster Management Incorporated Executive Director, Archie Gamboa. No, this is all from the Rotary Foundation. It was a grant from the Rotary Foundation worth $25,000. So that was our last mission. Just a summary of what we did. We did 9 relief missions, benefiting approximately 9,400 families, and the total value of that donations of all those missions was around almost $62,000. And we did 3 rebuild missions, even though the beneficiaries are fewer than the relief missions, 1,473 beneficiaries, but the amount is almost the same, and the benefit is long-term. No? Once they have the roof, it's there for years and years. So the total that we did, the total beneficiaries were almost 11,000 families, and the value is around $107,000 US. This is a breakdown of the donations, or I mean the breakdown of the donations that we received, cash and goods. So most of them were goods. A bulk of them were from the Virginia food, which always pack the relief goods here during our missions. So the total that we got for total donations was $115,655. So this is a breakdown of where the funds came from. So from our own members of Rotary Club of Cebu, we had almost 14,000. And international donations, we had 4,600, including the Rotary Club of New York. Thank you very much. We had donations from our sister clubs, 26,000 or almost 27,000. And individual donors who donated through our online account, 2,100. And other organizations like Virginia and the Manila organizations, business organizations that donated to our efforts, around 45,000 US dollars. This is the mobilization or the geographical area that we went to. We have Cebu City, of course, the water, and we have Mactan Island. And the three islands, Caubian, Mukabuk, and Hilutungan Island. This is just off the coast of the Cebu, going to the other province called Bohol here. I don't know if you've heard of it. These are our tourist spots here in Cebu. When you come here in Cebu, we can take you to the tourist spots here in our islands. We also have the area in Sibunga, Argao, and Dalaget. They are close together in the south of Cebu. And Alegria and Malabuyok, which are the farthest that we went to, which is also next to each other, two municipalities. So what are our plans? Our immediate plans, because food and water supply has somewhat stabilized already since electricity has been restored. Shelter remains to be a concern because so many people are still sleeping in the chapels or with relatives or in the public schools, which are closed by as of this time. So our club will continue with our rebuild missions in providing housing materials so that people can repair and rebuild their homes. This is our immediate, what we can do right now. But in the future, because of what happened to us, what happened to our island, and what we have experienced during our missions, we know that we need to do something to be more cost effective, because whenever we brought water to the relief missions, it takes two huge trucks to bring the water, and we would be generating so much trash. The logistics is a nightmare. When the roads are hard to access, it is we will have trouble going to the locations, and the water is very expensive if you buy the water by the bottles or the small containers. So what we plan to do is we want to buy two of these ISO water tanks with a capacity of 20,000 liters each. We have the funding for this, and we plan to buy this and store this in one of our members' yard, and it can be refilled in just one day. And our members will provide the trucks that will bring this ISO tank to the location where we want to give aid. We have done this before during big fires here in our city, and during the big fires, the victims are they are evacuated to a site like a public school. Whenever they're evacuated, the problem there is always water to wash hands, water to cook, water to wash dishes and everything. So we will be doing this. We will be having these two tanks on standby and ready to be deployed whenever a disaster strikes. And our second initiative or plan for the future is to stockpile 10,000 water filtration systems, which uses a ceramic water filter. This will be custom made locally here in our city with our Rotary Master Brand logo. on the containers, and the ceramic filters will be imported from abroad. Since we experienced that almost always, all the locations that we went to, water is always the problem. So we're trying to find a way to really be more effective in our disaster relief efforts during the next time, because the Philippines is like battered with typhoons 20 times a year, every year, without exception. So this will happen again. So we don't want to do it inefficiently, buying water which will drain our funds almost immediately every time we buy water. So we will be stockpiling this and importing the filters abroad so that it will be cheaper. So that's one of our future goals to achieve for the next few years. So thank you very much. The past 6 weeks we have been really, it has been really been life-changing for us. The help and messages that we have received were just simply amazing. How Rotarians from around the world and our district leaders have come together to send aid to us. We've forged partnerships with other organizations and worked with them to give relief to the people affected by the typhoon. Shelter Box has been a great partner. They have welcomed us, our partnership to provide shelter kits here. And, we have been through a lot during this time, but it is also now that we have been truly inspired by the kindness and generosity of the Rotarians. So in behalf of our club, the Rotary Club of Cebu, and our members here present, and the people affected by Typhoon Odette, thank you so much for all your help. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Jacob. I must say what you've shown to us, at least to me, is very impressive and shows what it means to be a Rotarian, what a Rotary Club can do. It's a model for other clubs to aspire to, I must say. If anyone has a question, please feel free, put it into the chat room, raise your hand, or just join in. Don't be shy. I have a couple of questions. I want to start off with this. My first question is, so where does the central government from Manila, how does that come in? What did the national government of Philippines, what kind of assistance did it provide?
As far as I know, the national government provided distributed funds to the local government, and the local government would be the one to procure the relief or any items that they can give aid to the people. But for sure, it's not enough. Every time we go to a place, there are relief items already there, but they're not being distributed yet because they don't know where to start. The whole island was devastated. The whole island, almost the whole island, except for the northern part of Cebu. The whole island was devastated. The help that we gave, that I presented earlier, was just a fraction of what is needed for the people.
I mean, it would seem to me that obviously drinking water is the most basic necessity. Before you can do anything, you've got to have potable, clean water. And I admire what the Rotary Club. I admire.
Sorry.
No, go ahead. Unmute yourself. James, unmute yourself.
James, now we can hear you. Yes.
Okay. I have an awful lot of experience in this. And Andreas, as you know, during the last typhoon, the Rotary Club of New York provided me with $10,000. I was in the Philippines. I went with another member of my club. Okay. We first stopped at the Rotary Club of Manila. And I've got to tell you this because I'm going to tell you everything, how to get the water, how to do it the best ways, how to avoid all the problems you're having.
Yeah.
When I first went, okay, And I saw your district governor at the time. What year was that? About 2014, Andreas?
Probably.
Yeah. Remember the last big typhoon in the Philippines?
Last big typhoon, Yolanda.
Yolanda. It was Typhoon Yolanda. I was
Yeah.
there for 6 weeks. When I landed, I contacted the Rotary Club of Manila. I saw your district governor. I went to dinner with him. Okay. I told him all my needs, what I needed to do. Now, let me get back to that. Our district, 7230, donated 1.2 million meals to the Philippines.
Wow. Thank you.
Okay. Now they sent it over on a ship. The ship was lost. I found it in the port of Cebu. As they were unloading it, and they were going to give it out to just anybody. Fortunately, the dock master at Cebu was a Rotarian. I got him to put it back on the ship. He took the ship with me to Leyte. Okay.
Yeah.
We unloaded the ship there. I contacted the local police. We stored it in a warehouse. This was in the village of Hindang. Okay. Then I went to the village elders. I explained to them the situation. I got 1.2 million meals here. We got to distribute it. So the village elders went to the people in the village. We got trucks from the village and we started distributing. Then we went to the next village and the village elders from Hindang talked to them. We went up Tacloban, up to Omak.
Yeah.
Okay? We distributed the 1.2 million meals.
Wow.
After we did that, and the Rotary Club of New York has always been helpful to me.
Yeah.
And we started building. Same thing. Went to the village elders, got the carpenters. We got them to dicker with the lumber yards for the tin roofs.
Yeah. Tin roofs.
We rebuilt 300 houses. This is 2 guys that did this. Okay.
Wow.
And all right, just to introduce myself, I'm the founder and the president emeritus of the Rotary Club of Inwood. Okay, so I've been not only to the Philippines, to Puerto Rico. They made me Rotarian of the Year for what I did there. I've been to Haiti 4 times, and I'm having a big problem now with that because I can't get money. And I know what to do, but I can't get the money. Money is a big thing.
Yeah.
Because there's disasters every day. Who are you going to support?
Yeah.
Okay. I was also named, I also got the Rotary International Service Above Self Award. I was also in Pakistan. I was also in Haiti. I set up MASH units. I set them up in Pakistan as well. We saw 23,000 people. We were flying them in and out. Usually I would go with one other member of the club. In Haiti, I went with a number of members of the club, and Andreas, Uncle Bill, you remember Uncle Bill from your club, came with us down to Haiti. All right, getting back, I went to the Rotary Club of Manila, and I got no help at all. Nothing, zero, nothing at all. The district governor told me, well, we have a project, we're rebuilding a school. I needed people, but I couldn't get them. So what did I do? I recruited the locals.
Yeah.
That's when we handed out, okay, the 1.2 million meals. And after that, plus all the money that I was getting from grants everywhere I could, as fast as I could, and putting my own money into it. But that was a lot. And I have a video that the district made of me, of the work we did in Tacloban, which I will send to you. The other thing I want to say is water. You got a problem with water. Your best bet, here's what I use, because look, I was in Puerto Rico. I was installing water filters. You can get a water filter for about $15. They also, this company, Sawyer Water Filters,
Yeah.
they give
Sawyer.
they give discounts to Rotary. You can
Wow.
get the small water filter, which clears 500 gallons, somewhere in that vicinity, a day. If you can
Okay.
hook it up, if the infrastructure isn't down, you can attach it to the water fountain, the water pipes. Okay.
Okay.
And even if it is down, what you can do, you can get an adjuster, put a hole in a bucket, hang it from a tree.
James, we've lost you again. We've lost your sound.
Thank you very much, James, for all the help that you've extended. The Typhoon Haiyan was one of the worst in the Philippines. I didn't know that you came here.
Jacob, while James is trying to get himself back on,
Yeah.
what about UNICEF and what about the International Red Cross?
I see that UNICEF and Red Cross are trying to raise funds, but I haven't seen their operations yet. Maybe in some other places, because the Philippines is composed of islands, small islands, and Cebu is just one of the areas that were affected by the typhoon. There are several more islands that were affected, like Bohol, Dumaguete, Southern Leyte, and Surigao, which is northern Mindanao, and Dinagat Islands. So that's 5 provinces. I don't know if they conducted operations there, because some of those areas are also very, very badly hit.
Okay, I'm back.
Before James, before you do that, we had a chat from, I'm sorry, from Rotary Club of New York, Rotary Club of CEBU rather, Bing. He says electricity is 85% restored, public water utilities about 95% operational. The main problem now is the broadband connection, which is spotty and slow.
Yeah. We have these spaghetti wires for our telecommunications, which is very hard to restore. Once a pole goes down, it's very hard to really trace the connections. No, they're not underground yet, but the power is almost 100%, almost maybe 90%.
Can you hear me now?
Go ahead, James. We have a few minutes.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Okay, so the other thing, first of all, I know the problem you have with the water, because I would go to the FEMA camps and they were handing out these cases of water in plastic bottles, 1 case per week for a family. They had lines from here to the moon. And then, of course, what do you do with the plastic? In Haiti, they would just dump it anywhere. You could actually walk across rivers, and if those bottles would hold you up, they covered the entire surface, okay, of the river. You don't need those. These filters, as I was saying before, I figured out how to work this sound.
Sawyer.
The
Sawyer
Sawyer.
filter.
You can distribute them in villages.
Yeah.
They do 500 gallons a day. You hook them on, you can put a hole in a bucket. You can put polluted water in, and it pures instantaneously. The filters will last for a generation. They don't have to be changed. And they give special deals to Rotary. The other one.
That's a good resource. Thank you.
Yes. I'll be happy to work with you on this. The other one is Luminade. Luminade provides lighting. Okay. Lighting, I brought to Puerto Rico as well. We would go in the mountains, and for about, you can deal with them. The more money you spend, the better deal you get. Probably for about $15, it will light up a whole room. So you don't have to depend on electricity. If the electricity is down, you're using solar power. You just put it out during the day and it works. Both of these things work. You don't need even that big tank. Yeah, it's good to have a couple of those tanks going. But in the meantime, you could go to these villages, work with the elders, show them how these things work, talk to the carpenters, get them to, as I say, to dicker with the local lumber yards. This way the money is going back into the community, as well. You can get the tin there and you can get the wood. Now, let me just look at my notes. I'm having a problem in Haiti. This is where you're going to have a problem. Now, as I say, the Rotary Club of New York has been very generous with me, and so have some of the other clubs. But the earthquake in Haiti was 5 months ago. I was there for the big one. I've been going to everybody for money. You know what they're up to? They got $7,000. What can I do with $7,000? It's going to be difficult because you're in competition with other disasters all over. And I understand that. But the district called me and asked me, and I've been working my butt off trying to get money. You know, it's not easy. All right. So that's another problem you're going to have.
James,
yeah.
if I can interrupt 1 second,
Go ahead.
I'm going to ask Andreas to make sure we connect you with Jacob. So the two of you,
Oh, absolutely.
the two of you can have a
I would-
private conversation.
That would be very great. Yeah.
Because obviously, the few minutes we have left is not going to be enough for James to give you the resources that he has the experience with. And
That would be great.
this will be one Rotarian working with another
yes.
Rotarian
I
going
also
for the same.
I want to send you a copy of the video that we made of the work that we did when we were in the Philippines. And you can do a lot. And forget about the water bottles. That's out. And these two companies will really be, a key for you to getting things done.
Okay.
And James, if I may add before
All right, that's all I got to say. I wanted to get it in. Thank God.
I'm glad you did.
I got the sound going.
I'm glad you got that too. I'm going to make a suggestion, James, that perhaps we should work with the district for the not too distant future, putting together kind of a workbook based on what your own experience
Yes.
or other groups to rather than reinvent the wheel, to learn
Because
from
that's
someone.
what they're doing. They're reinventing the wheel. And every time I go to one of these countries, I see that this involves transportation. This involves disposal of the plastic bottles. This involves money. You can take care of whole villages with one water filter.
I think what we should do is we should work with I'll contact the district governor, and we should put together some kind of a workshop or a workbook with you as the main resource, and then we could get this to other Rotary clubs around the world.
Let me ask you one other favor. Give me a little bit of help. I'm trying to get I'm not asking money for the New York club, but I know that they've sent out, I don't think they did it the right way. They didn't do it the way I left that part. I left the administrative part to the district. They didn't do it properly. I would have given them pictures and everything else. And 5 months later, I'm still going around in a circle. I got to find a way to collect more money. If I can get up to $20,000, I'll buy the filters. I'll buy the lanterns, and I'll go down there myself and install them.
Are you talking about Haiti?
Yeah, I'll go.
All right. Well, this is something I suggest, James, again.
In a week. I'll contact the other Rotary Club down there and I'll work with them.
This is what I suggest we contact the district governor, and Andreas and I will get back to you on this.
Yeah. Helen Reisler knows me. I've been friends with her.
Yeah, of course. No, absolutely. No, we'll work on this. Absolutely.
Thank you so much.
No, thank you, James.
Thank you. All right, go ahead. Continue.
Okay. So Jacob.
Yeah.
So I, as I said, I got that, we got that chat from one of the members of your club talking about what was still necessary. You want to pick up on that?
Yeah. Our island is almost back to normal. It's like 90%, except for the telecom, as our past president mentioned. But still, some of the people are, homeless without roofs on their houses. So that's what we are going to continue doing at this time. Yeah.
All right.
But electricity is more or less almost 100%. And that's a big factor because the problems that we are facing are all because of the electricity. I know that you have all experienced that with the hurricanes that you've gone through also there in New York. So the electricity is the main cause of all our problems, the gasoline in the water and even the food. But now that it's back, we've stabilized. Yeah.
Yeah, now, this is something, unfortunately, every community has to face. I mean, it wasn't that long ago in New York City when we had a hurricane. I guess it was about 2013. where everything south of Manhattan, 42nd Street South, we had no electricity for almost a week.
Yeah.
And this is Manhattan, New York City, supposedly the most sophisticated. So it's an issue everybody has to deal with,
Yeah.
and it's not an easy issue to deal with
Yeah.
because you can prepare for it, but then once it happens,
Once it reaches 2 days or 3 days without electricity, problems will really crop up.
absolutely, yes. So thank you. All right, anybody else? Any one of our guests who want to mention anything?
Gerard, I just want to take the word for 1 second and
Please go ahead.
Not to be rude at all and interrupt our esteemed speaker, but I wanted to just emphasize the presence of the president of Wiesbaden, who invited us
Yes.
for next week to have a joint meeting with them at 1 p.m. Tilo, can you just say 2 words and then we go back to our Filipino friends?
Yeah, sure. Thank you very much. It was very interesting listening to Jacob and your talk. First of all, I have to apologize because I have to leave the meeting, as I wrote in the chat, because today is my birthday and family is waiting outside.
Happy birthday.
Thank you. It's evening over here in Germany, so they're all waiting for dinner. But I just wanted to express my eternal gratitude that you decided to make our meeting next Thursday a common transatlantic meeting, and I think this is extraordinary, and big thanks to Andreas as well. Since international understanding is a Rotarian value, it's just wonderful that you have made the, for me, unexpected decision to connect with us next Thursday. So as I told you, our speaker will be Rick Beyer. I wrote in the chat that he is a historian. He worked a lot on documentaries for National Geographic, History Channel, and he's also co-host of a program on Facebook and YouTube called History Happy Hour. And he wrote also a best-selling book on the Ghost Army, which was a unit in the US Army, this was under disclosure for 40 years, and they tried to trick the Nazis and pretend with inflatable tanks, pretended to like troops which were in fact not there. So this is a very entertaining story he will share with all of us, and I hope to see all of you and maybe more in this next meeting. This will be our second English speaking meeting ever. So I'm here to I'm happy to embarrass myself with my weak English, but I hope to see all of you guys next Thursday at 1 o'clock. At 1 o'clock your time, which is 7 o'clock in the evening our time. Thank you so much, Gerard, for making this decision.
Pleasure to see you again. Alles Gute zum Geburtstag. And
thank you.
And we will see you next week. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you so much.
Okay, Jacob, I'm sorry for interruption. Go ahead, Jacob.
Yes.
As you can see, we do have,
Yeah.
our effort here at the Rotary Club in New York the past year or two, we have been trying to broaden the scope by connecting with all different Rotarians around the world. That's why we're so pleased to have you with us today. We've actually done international. Last year we did an international fundraiser with the Rotary Club in Taipei to raise funding for first responders here in New York City with the emergency situation we faced with COVID. And our past president Larry Cohen was very active in working with that as well. So our emphasis is to get involved with the decision-making policies in our own communities.
Okay.
So that we can more effectively bring about change. And I would suggest all Rotarians worldwide, even though we're non-sectarian, obviously, we don't get involved with politics, but we don't get involved with politics officially. We still have to be involved with politics because that's what makes the world go round, whether it's politics, whether it's politics in our immediate family or politics in our country. We still have to get involved in the decision-making process, and Rotarians bring a very special series of talents to the table, so that this is one of the things we, it's one thing to say, okay, we'll get involved and we'll help bring about change, but we cannot bring about lasting change without getting involved in the decision-making process. And what you guys have done there in CEBU is, kudos to you. You've done a great job.
Thank you. Thank you
Very
very
proud of
much. Very true. What you're saying is very true. Thank you very much.
All right, any other comments before we say adieu today?
Very quickly, may I? Very
Malika, of
quickly.
course.
I was writing in the chat because I saw that I did not have the time, but because your region is typhoon prone, you should have a program to pre-position material and goods in case the typhoon comes again. That's emergency preparedness. And also, you did not emphasize the partnerships with other organizations that are there, and but those have to work with the government. They cannot work on their own, the international organizations. So I am sure that part of what the government was doing, that you perceived as government actions, were supported by some international agencies.
Sure.
You emphasize the water. The water is the first to be contaminated in those emergencies.
Yes.
And they are heavy to carry, etc. That's why the filters, but this is not new. The government should know that because they have all these experts
They
that
don't
are
know anything.
providing the information. But emergency preparedness, I think that you have to lobby with the government to have this type of activity, to preposition. I mean, when was that between Yolanda and this one? It's only, even if it's only 10 years, it's very, very important to have, to be ready and not to be caught. And also very quickly, experience. Thank you, James, for your expose. But you, I think at this point, lessons learned, write all the lessons learned, and don't forget them, distribute them. It's very important.
Yes.
Hopefully not for next, terrible experience. And also on you had a very good documentary. I think we saw a lot of landscapes that did not look that disturbed.
Yeah.
Not enough women and children, lining up for water and things like that. That's what donors like. If you want to use your
That is very good advice.
So partnerships is very important. You cannot do it by yourself. I
Yes,
see that
that's right.
between clubs, Rotary clubs is great. Now my question, why don't you have women in your club?
Oh, that's the question I was trying to avoid, but
Well, you can with
another
myself, you cannot.
That will take another meeting to discuss.
No,
We have a club in Bermuda like that too.
I know some Filipina women who are very, very bright. One of my mentors where I used to work was Mary Rasilis, who is now a professor at Manila University. So you have
Yes,
I mean,
we have been discussing it.
Literacy is high.
We're still stuck at discussing stage. But our district governor is a female.
Have you opened your door? Have you opened your doors to the club? There should be something there that's not right.
If I may
I'll
add,
mention,
one of
James,
our-
You don't have to,
that
but please think about it.
Yes,
James,
yes, we will. Thank you.
Jacob, I'll mention that Malika is on our board of directors, and she's chair of our UN Breakfast Committee.
No, but
And
I'm
she also
talking
has
as
a
a
life.
woman,
She
as
also
a woman Rotarian.
as a woman, she's par excellence, and she has a lifetime experience working with UNICEF at the United Nations. She
And
spent her entire life doing this. She and her husband. So
I love your reporting, by the way. The financial reporting, all this is
very important.
Thank you.
For fundraising.
Yeah, that's something, Malika, that's something that you brought up that really is important, Jacob. And so many other groups that we've seen don't do this. and James, I'm sure you could add 2 cents on this as well. Whenever you're dealing with an organization that has asked for charitable funding, it is so very fundamentally important to explain where that money went and how it was used. A lot of groups don't do this, and it raises questions as to why they don't do it. And we were very pleased to see you doing this, because the old English saying, the proof of the pudding's in the eating. So thank you for bringing that up, Malika. I think, Andreas, I think we've run out of time. We've actually overpassed our time.
Yeah, we are actually out of time. So,
but Scarlett, they are willing to stay. So please give the floor to Scarlett.
Malika, we will, but just before we do that, we should thank all the Rotary Club members that have joined from the Rotary Club of CEBU and other clubs there. They have had a really impressive attendance. So going ahead, Scarlett, go please.
I just wanted to say thank you so much. Congratulations on all the work you've done, your successes, and the fact that you have 100% Paul Harris participation, and the 4 Arch Club Society members. And well, that's just about it. I just wanted to say thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Scarlett. Thank you.
So thank you very much, Jacob, President Jacob. Thank you very much for your time, for your presentation. And we want to stay in communications with you. And of course, we will. And
yes. Thank
let
you.
us know.
Thank you for the opportunity to speak here in your meeting. Thank you very much. It's an honor. No? It's not a normal thing for us to meet people like from New York, Club number 6. It's a very distinguished club that we are speaking to. Thank you very much.
We're honored to have you with us today. Thank you very much. And for those of you from the New York Club, I'll just mention very briefly, stay tuned. We're about to have our in-person meetings again. You're going to be getting some very important information very soon. We have now the cooperation, the new New York City Police Commissioner, New York City Police Department will be working with us. We're going to have a formal event, a sit-down dinner, and honoring the New York City Police Department and the officials. And so stay tuned. You'll be getting the information very soon. Again, President Jacob, thank you for being our guest. We're honored, but we're impressed. And, we're very impressed with your club. However, as Malika has pointed out, we cannot forget the most important half of our society, which is the female half. We cannot leave them out. That's a mistake. So work on that, my brother. Work on that. Okay.
Thank you
Thank
for
you,
the
everyone.
effort.
Stay safe.
What time is it there? What time is it there right now?
2 o'clock. 2 o'clock in the morning.
In the morning, I know. Yes.
Thank you again. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much.
Andreas.
Bye.
Thank you. Andreas, thank you.
Thank you.